Good afternoon, my name is R.C. Smith. I'm a security manager with Lockheed Martin in Hanover, Maryland. Today's presentation is on how to establish an insider threat program within your organization. There are several steps to do this, and we're going to go over these very quickly because part of this presentation is how to prepare and present this information on a platform where people can see it across the United States without having to venture to a single location and get this type of training. So your first step is to gain corporate support for your program. Without corporate support, you're not going to get anywhere. Second step is to decide on what you're going to protect in your program. The third step is deciding who you need to coordinate with in order to establish and maintain this program. Once you've decided what you're going to protect, you're going to have to decide on how you're going to detect the people, places, and things that you've decided to protect, and how you'll detect the fact that they're being tampered with or stolen. Once you've done those three steps, you go back and you say, I want to meet again with all the people I'm supposed to coordinate with in my corporation and outside my corporation for my program. Once you've done that re-meet, you engage your program, you review and adjust what you're protecting, how you're protecting it, how you're detecting what you're protecting, and then you go back to your CEO and say, this is what we're doing, this is how successful we've been, and this is how we're going to adjust in the future. So as an overview, you gain corporate support, you decide what you're going to protect, you decide who to coordinate with within your organization and outside your organization, you meet with everyone again, you engage your program, and then you go back, review and adjust, and meet with CEO and decide and tell him either how successful you've been, how unsuccessful you've been, where you need help, where you don't need help. Okay. Gain corporate support. In the 9 practices of successful security leaders by the Security Executive Council, dated 12/1/2011, number 2 of those 9 practices, and I'm going to read here, the security leader interviewed who sensed that the C-suite, or your CEO, leaders required greater understanding of security role took the critical step of speaking directly to the business unit leader to understand what risk issues keep them awake at night and what security services they find valuable. The most successful security leaders interviewed by the Security Executive Council regularly talk to senior business leaders about their goals and worries to determine how security can help. The number 5 out of those 9 practices were, while many security leaders believe it is their job to change the corporate culture into something that is more security-oriented, the research found that successful leaders believe it is their job to learn the existing corporate structure and find the best way to incorporate security into it. In section 3 of your program, you have to decide what you're going to protect. Some of those things might be in your employees, your partners, your subcontractors, your company's brand or reputation, formulas, processes, costs, sensitive or classified information, partners or customer documents and materials, property, equipment, networks, and data integrity. Now, who do you need to coordinate with in your program? You need to coordinate with your CEO, obviously, the COO, if you have one, your directors and your VPs. Your C-suite, as we call it. You need to coordinate with HR, finance, property management, your ISOs or your IT department, your first level managers, security, and when I say security, I mean personnel security, program security, your FSO, your physical security representatives. In some cases, these may be the same person, but in large companies, they may be multiple people. You need to coordinate with the employees because they have to have certain buy-in to what you're doing. They also have to recognize what you're doing because they may have input to your program. Your government customer has to know you're going to do this. Number one, they need to know that you have this program because DSS, for example, might give you some kudos for establishing an insider threat program. And very important, you need to talk with legal because you can't do anything that violates the law. So the policies, procedures, and your documentation about what you're doing must meet legal restraints. Okay. How do you detect anomalies so that you can determine whether something is wrong in your employees? I mean, if one day an employee comes in, he's very happy, joyful, and prior to that period, he's always been a very quiet, reserved type person, that's a change. And if the person normally comes in early, works late, and now they're coming in late and leaving early, that's a change. These things could be an indicator that there's something changed in their life, and you need to be aware of those things. Doesn't necessarily mean they're stealing you blind, but if somebody's personality changes, then something in their life has changed. Partners and subcontractors the same way. If you have a partner, a member of another subcontractor who acts, he was a teetotaler maybe at one time, and now he's coming in with alcohol in his breath, there's obviously been a change in his life. How do you detect things in formulas? Well, do you still have the formulas? The formulas in the same place they used to be? Are they always on file? Are they kept in a safe and now they're not in the safe anymore? Processes, how do you protect the process? That's going to be up to your folks. Costs, how do you protect costs? Once again, it's probably the formulas and costs are probably on your network somewhere if they've been stolen, if they're not there, if they've been copied. Check with your ID department on best ways to figure out whether they've been stolen or not. Sensitive or classified information, you should have an inventory on these things. If they show up missing, then you know you have a problem. If you can't, during an annual inventory, if those things show up or don't show up, then you know you have a problem. Property and equipment, if this screen behind me disappears, you come in one morning and it's gone, there's a big red flag, you have something that's missing, you have to do an investigation to find out whether it's gone. Networks and data integrity is probably one of the harder things to do, but there are ways to do it. Check with your IT department. You need to set up and establish means of recognizing whether something has been tampered with or stolen or replaced with something else in your program. Step number 6 is meet again with all those folks that you met with in the beginning, your CEO, your HR, your legal, your partners, your subcontractors. Make sure that they all are still in agreement with everything that you've got in place, and then you can move forward and start your program. Number 7, you engage your plan. You've taken everything that you had in consideration, all the people you've talked to, how you've decided what you're going to protect, the things that you are going to protect and how you're going to protect them, the legal background behind how you're going to do it, then you engage that program. Then, after you've let the program run for a period of time, and the period of time that you're going to let it run is completely up to you, you decide that you go back and review your program. If you're not finding anything, that can be good news or it can be bad news. If you're not finding anything, it can mean that you're doing a great job, you don't have anybody trying to steal your things. On the other hand, it could be that you're not detecting in the proper areas. If you have a camera on the outside of a room and you don't see any movement. Maybe they've cut a hole through the wall and you're just not watching that wall. So you need to evaluate what you're measuring, how you're measuring it, and if you still indicate that somebody is stealing things, then you need to go back and say, well, how can we detect what's being stolen? If you change your program in any way, you need to go back to the folks that you are coordinating with and make sure that they understand and that you're still following the letter of the law. Again, then you go back and summarize, go back to your CEO and say, these are what we're finding, these are the things we're not finding, we're doing a good job, we're doing a bad job, we've saved the corporation this much money by keeping this from being stolen. And that's your corporate program for establishing an insider threat. If you have any questions, comments, I'm available at the email address that will be displayed later. Again, my name is R.C. Smith. I'm a security manager with Lockheed Martin in Hanover, Maryland, and I look forward to hearing from you.